Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm doing an off-the-cuff update on things I think might be relevant or important to bring attention or focus to the things that I speak about sometimes. So this is not a teaching video, but the purpose of this update is the concern about a lot of the deaths of homeless, even in the last year, that there's a lot of homeless that have been run over and killed. And I have a particular friend that's been homeless. I won't give his name, but he's been homeless for, 5, 6 years out here. And he consistently tells me that he believes it's an organized killing of the homeless. Now, he has told me this, and many people. He said, John, what I do is every time I get a chance, he says, I tell anybody that I see in the community, just running into them. And he says that they're purposely being killed and it's organized. And he believes it has to do with the group I spoke about in the past. And you will still find that video on some of my platforms. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But he gives the name. I won't give the name of the man who runs the group. He's a local man. I won't give the name of the group again because I gave it before. So why right now? A few weeks ago, one of the most recent murders that took place, which I spoke about, was a man by the name of, we called him Nick Nichols, but he was, well known for many years. He was not homeless for many years, but he just, I guess that last year, from what my friends had told me, he got evicted. He had an apartment, I guess he lived in. He's also a relative of people here. It's a relative of one of the officers that works for CCPD, by the way. The last name of the man who was killed was Nichols, but his name was Nick Nichols. And the reason I mention that is my friend who believes that they're killing homeless out here, and it's not accidental. My friend told me they live in little camps and they're homeless. He told me that somebody came up to his tent or his camp one night where he camps out by one of the spots that they all have and shot into his tent. And he told me, now my friend has been involved with many years in prison, and also it wasn't, it was a big thing. He believes somebody tried to kill him that night. And he did tell me the next day, he said, man, John, somebody just walked up to the tent and shot into the tent. He said, I should have got up, but I guess he played dead. Well, it was the next day that Mr. Nichols was murdered in another camp, which is called Rattlesnake Camp. And now my friend is putting two and two together, and he just thinks that it's an organized thing, that night they try to kill him, and then the next day somebody in another camp here was murdered. I mentioned that murder case before, that I knew the man, and I thought I knew everybody knows each other out here, and everybody camps in these bluffs spots together. Nobody knows the man who killed Nick Nichols, because people on the street want to know, man, was it one of our other friends that's homeless? And initially the name sounded familiar, and we thought, oh, we know who it is, he goes by a nickname. It was not him. So now that nobody knows who killed him, we were all wondering, like, well, who is this man that was arrested for the murder? And then my friend told me, word on the street, and I don't go by rumor, is that he hung himself in jail. Now, if that's true, that would mean you would never hear anything about it. My friend Albert, who you see on video, who died, was hit and run and killed. There was no charges, and we never knew who ran him over. There was multiple people that had been hit and run and killed, like so many you see on my videos, these are multiple. I would say 25 homeless people have been run over and killed, in these last 7 years or so. There's never been a charge or a single charge on any of those. And I had a friend of mine who he was hit by an officer on his bike. Of course, there were no charges. I'll give you the name. It was Wild Bill. And he said, "Man, can you believe?" And he wasn't injured badly, but he was hit on his bicycle, and he knew the person that hit him. It was an officer. But the fire department showed up, and Wild Bill knows I'm a retired firefighter, and he had said, "Man, John, they were so nice. The fire department, they bought him another bike because his bike was kind of destroyed." What concerns me is this, and that might have been an accident. I don't know the name of the officer. I remember Bill told me that. If you have so many murders, and some that were like shot in the head type murders, others shooting into the tent type attempted murders, and if none of these have been charged, I understand there were charges. I read the news on Mr. Nichols' murder. His daughter is someone I know. Her name is Nicola. After the dad, Nick was the nickname, Nicola's daughter. But what concerns me is that, my other friend he says, "John, they're getting away with murder out here." Now, I would just bring this up because there was so many, and it started making people wonder. Now, we do understand there's a group that is organized, that their intention is to rid the Flower Bluff area of homeless people. And they're out and about. And they have pursued and gone after people, meaning driving after them, following them, targeting them. And I'm wondering, my friend believes they crossed the line and that the hit and runs are on purpose. We are very far south where I live, and sadly, because of the state of our world right now, there's somewhat of a collapse. I would just tell you that there's a collapse of, you see me deal with all like social media, and I'm up on a lot of these companies. I've been doing a lot of research. I could have done a whole thing on social media. I won't right now. But some of the tactics that they are taking against one another now, Microsoft, a new platform, basically banning Google. Google has the Google Chrome and the Microsoft 11. I didn't update, but supposedly it's like banning Google Chrome. Facebook now just started banning YouTube shares. Okay. Now, these companies are cutthroat, all right? If you look at the history, they know they're competitive. There's a lot of problems. I believe we're going to head for like another dot-com bubble. Most people might not be familiar. Facebook lost half of its value in 6 months. Now, you're talking a lot of billions of dollars there. And so, besides all the things that are happening, it's sort of like the companies are doing things, I feel, that normally they would think, well, the federal government would come after us, and they think they're going to get away with those things at this time. Certain things that they're doing in competition with one another. And my sense of it is, when there's a feeling of the country itself is being it's in a very unstable environment right now, in a lot of ways, regardless of the side you're on. And my sense is, I was very slow to believe that the hit and runs are intentional, but I'm questioning it because there's so many. I could give you my friend Steve. He was run over right here. He was around, just in memory, he's on the video. Used to wear a hat. My friend Albert, hit and run. All of these, never a charge. Never one charge. And a girl, a sweet girl, I even saved her. They were from Mississippi. I forget her name. I got a picture up there. But they were here for a few years. And I felt bad because one day I seen her. at the turnaround. I gave her the few dollars. I just barely got to know her, and she was killed right here, hit and run. And the husband stayed around. I guess the common law husband. He was here for a few weeks, and he said, John, the person that hit his wife and killed her, that they were like connected. Forget if he said, oh, they wouldn't. And it just, if you have that many murders, if you have that many hit and runs, if you go back and some are not reported, So if you would estimate 25 have been run over and killed, maybe I'll be gracious, maybe in a 10-year period. My friend Mexican Roger, I mentioned him before, he's on some of my videos, hit and run in Flower Bluff Drive. The bus driver told my other friend, Mexican Albert, that Mexican Roger, this was last year now, was hit and run. No charges. My friend, White Albert, you see, hit and run, no charge. Look, I can go down a line here. And if it is organized, if it is intentional, and they're realizing they're getting away with it. My friend Albert was threatened once, and I was upset about it. I won't give all the names, but it was an officer. He said, if you don't disappear, we'll make you disappear. Now, I'm not going to get in all that again. Words are important when we look at things. I do this because it just really has been bugging me, and I'm reading some news. I uploaded a few things. So for all of our new friends, I welcome you. I would just say, could it be beneficial just to shine some light? If all of these murders, and hit and runs, if they're investigated but there was never a charge. And look, if you had 25 people in our regular community, if you had a city manager's daughter, the mayor's brother, if you had 25 of those people that were hit and run, you'd have so many charges. You'd have multiple charges. There's never been a report on whether there was alcohol in these people that were driving. It seems as if the hit and runs are intentional, and they're killing. I mean, in some cases they're not killed, of course. In some cases they're injured. So I understand that some might refute this and say, well, they're jaywalking and all these. I get that, but a lot. So this is just to bring attention to that, because the organized group, they're still organized, and they have, I believe they have, people that are in the group that are connected locally, and they're organized. I reported them to Facebook last year because they're organized. There were people, for those that are in that group, you'll see this. I spoke about you before. I'm not in the group. I don't know the names of people in the group. I have friends in the street that have relatives that are in the group. And they would tell, because my friend told me, John, my relative told me that they were taking pictures of me and my vehicle or whatever. And so the homeless in the population that have bad backgrounds at times, they're now well aware of the people that are in the group because of what I just mentioned. So the names, I won't even repeat the name again, but one of the names of the leaders that organized that group, I think I might have met him. I don't know the name personally, but his name is very prominent in the friends that complain. They say, oh, we hate that guy, and they'll give the name. So what you now have is a dynamic where there's an organized group of people. It's called Taking Back the Bluff. They might have changed names, and I don't keep up with them. But they're organized to intimidate and to rid the bluff of the homeless. And some of the driving that I've seen that they do is indeed dangerous. But the murders, look, if these were intentional, there's never a charge. Now, if you have 25 homeless killed, and that young girl that was, I forget her name, I took her picture out once, I posted it up here, whatever her name was, so many. So many. Yeah. So I think it's very possible that, and the concern of my friend getting somebody he does not know shot in his tent. This was just, this all within the last month. And it was the next day that somebody was shot in the head and killed. And nobody knows who that is. The name was given in the paper, but nobody knows who that is. And it's sort of being strange because the name nobody knew. And then the next week, the rumor was, oh, he killed himself in jail. Now, if that came out, that would tell me, wait a minute, there's no investigation maybe into the people that are being killed. There's no names given to the, and I'm worried that in Flower Bluff and Corpus Christi, that some organized groups have taken a vigilante position. My friend is convinced that it's organized murder. Okay? My friend is convinced it's organized murder, that they know when they can run over people, and that they wait a certain time. They're not going to publish that, but he believes they'll wait a certain time and then they'll run that homeless person over and never a charge. And you're talking killings. Okay, that's the concern for today. Just the news update. I don't know what I'll title it, so I want to bless all of my friends and world affairs. They're very bad right now. Things are taking place that I would just say, I think you're going to see quite a bad recession, a depression, recession. Most know inflation is the highest it's been in many, many years. So we're heading into a world, economic thing. Russia's just going to put some troops in South and Latin America, Venezuela, establishing more of a foothold in, South Central America. Obviously, we still pray for the Ukraine, Russia situation. I've got many friends in both countries, but because it's an update, I would say the trend for this year is it's whether people believe the spin that they hear on the media, it's going to be pretty bad. Economically, worldwide, it's going to be pretty bad, okay? But we as God's people, we, have faith. So we don't put our trust in the systems of the world. I'll pray. Father, I pray blessing on everybody. I pray just to bring attention, not to demean anybody, whether they're working on law enforcement or working for the city, or it's a concern that we should all have for homeless people. Though there's a lot of animosity towards them, but somebody, whether it's me or anybody, somebody should speak up if they think it's not good. Because the scriptures talks about justice. He had shown the old man what is good and what the Lord requires of you. How to do justice, to walk humbly, do justice, speak out, have a voice for justice. So we pray for righteousness, for all that are doing a good job, the police and local, they're trying their best. Many are trying their best in our community. Some more news things about local things that I read earlier. They're trying their best. There's under a lot of strain, financial strain, the things about the COVID that puts these. So we pray that the people that are in these positions would do the best that they can, that you bless them, those in law enforcement, those in the DA and all. I read a story about Mark Gonzalez. So help them do what's right and righteous in these cases, that grace and mercy and justice would all be done. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless everybody.